Hello, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I'm Anila Ali. I'm the president of AMWEC, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this Muslim Heroes of COVID session. We've acknowledged many people that have been doing amazing work through this, but today we're going to acknowledge and recognize a special group of people, and they are from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. So let us now introduce you to the people that are logged in, and then some of them will be joining us later. I have Sister Naila Alam here, and she's joining us from Washington, D.C. She's been doing amazing work for humanity, serving all the communities, especially the Muslim community, for the past 18 years. And as I speak to her, you will learn about her work. Our paths have crossed and we've known each other, and today it's my pleasure to have her so that I can highlight her work, and she can be also recognized as a hero of COVID. But I must say that she is a hero even without this COVID era. So Naila, Assalamu alaikum. And then we are joined by Mahomed Khan. We call him MK, so we'll be referring to him as MK. And you will learn a lot about what MK has been doing. It's incredible work, and he's been doing that for almost 40 years in LA and beyond, making a difference worldwide, bringing peace and reducing conflict everywhere. So we're going to learn about his work in a little while. I'm also joined by our intern and our social media director, Rahim Khan, who's going to help me ask questions that come to his mind as a young Muslim American. So we're going to start with Naila. I'm also joined by AMWEC board member Zeba, who's serving. She is doing a service event in LA, so she's going to be joining us live and telling us what she's doing as a Muslim American right now during COVID. So let's start with Naila. Naila, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Anila, how are you?
I'm good. It's so good to see you. And I want to honor you today for all the work that you've done, that I've seen you do for so many years. And today I want you to share some of that and tell us what all you have been doing to serve humanity, and especially women in America.
Sure. So first of all, thank you so much for choosing me. I'm truly honored. And as we talk about the COVID-19 phase, since it started, people were locked down because of the safety. And I was thinking, like, how am I going to stay home and do nothing? Because that's not how we are being, used to. So from day one, we thought of doing something for the community, because the main thing was that people could not go to the stores and buy their food. And children and people with small kids and people who are old, they would have problem in going and buying the food. So our first step was to do the food drive. So we was doing that. We started doing the food drive and providing food to everybody. Either they would come to our home, or we would drop the food to their house. But then we have to keep the social distance. So I came to USA in 1995, and I started a nonprofit in 2003. The reason was I was very sick when I came. I was diagnosed with a blood disorder similar to blood cancer. So the doctor said that I will not get better, and I was getting blood transfusions and chemos. So after 7 years of medical treatment, I got healed because of prayers and, of course, good medication of USA here in USA. And then I thought I should start working for the community. So since 2003, we are serving the community in Washington, D.C. area, especially women. We actually serve our community with basic needs of like groceries and like helping pay their bills and buy the medicines. But in 2007, we started training the ladies and of course the men to become PCA, which is this person filled AIDS, so they can go home and help elderly people, also those who are homebound. So since 2007, we have trained almost like 1,500 people, and they are trained and they go and help out the sick people in their homes. We also got the award from the White House in 2008, and several awards from the county and the different counties and state. And presently, we are helping the community. So they can have food on their table. People cannot imagine the need these days, because those who are self-sufficient these days, they will not, understand how the other people are suffering. Because if you don't have money, you cannot buy food. Even if you have money, little bit of it, and you cannot walk to the store because they still, not, safe to go. Many people even don't have cars, so either they used to go by bus, or they would, go and walk and buy the food. But in these days, these things are not possible. So we buy the food, we do the fundraising, we make packs of and boxes of food, and then we deliver to them. Now, there are some people that they were the pizza delivery persons, that they cannot cook because they don't have kitchen. They are either sharing the house or the room. So they are in big trouble because they lost their jobs and now they don't have place to cook. So we are also serving them cooked food. So we don't cook at home, of course, but then we have somebody who caters, and then she does the cooking, and then we pack the food and then deliver to them. And I'm very happy that the community is with us, and we are trying our best to help these people.
I've seen you do some amazing work. Now, I want to ask you, are you also, so what communities, Muslim communities are you serving, and are you also serving communities outside of the Muslim?
Oh, of course. We are, most of the people are Muslims, but they are also, they are also blacks here, and then Hispanics. Anybody that needs help, they come to us. And because we also have an office which is provided to us by the county, by the previous county, so many people knows us already. And then they are from different walks of life and different nationals. So we provide the help to everybody that knocks our door. So yes, we are helping everyone.
That's excellent. Now, do you have a team of volunteers? How do you recruit them, and who are they?
Yes, we do have volunteers, but then we don't want to ask many people to come out and help us, because we don't want to risk their lives. So we are risking our own lives, me and my sister Yasmin Durrani. But we do have some volunteers, but then I try not to involve many volunteers in it because of the safety. So what we do is that we have people that go out and buy the food from the stores. We have some young volunteers that does that. Other than that, we try people to come to our home, get the food from the doorstep, or we deliver it to them. But we do have a team of like at least 10 people that are helping us out.
And Naila, how do you do the fundraising? Is it hard to get funds? Because right now, I think everyone's suffering. So how do you manage that?
It's quite difficult, but then I do it on Facebook. Then I send out letters and announcements like that. But still, we are trying to get more and more funds, because there are people that can still help us. And I'm praying that this phase will end, soon. But still, people are continuing their help to us, and I'm still asking for more help, because not only food, people also need money to pay their rent if they're living in a room or if they are renting.
Do you have a website where people can donate and we can direct them to?
Yes, it's ExpressCare.org.
ExpressCare. Okay, perfect. I'll put that in the comments for the people asking.
Thank you.
We also have Minister Owens online and Hakim, just so everyone knows.
Hello, Minister Owens, and hello, Brother Hakim. Thank you for joining us.
How you doing?
We're doing well, and we're so honored to have you for all the work that you've been doing for our communities in Los Angeles, which is close to my heart because I work in Los Angeles. I live in Orange County. So I'm really thankful to you personally. But today we're honoring all of you heroes that have been risking your life, not just during the COVID, but throughout the years and years of your work that you've done. So I'll come back to you, Brother Hakim and Minister. I am going to go to Zeba Nissa, who's my board member, and she's out there in the field serving some people. So we'll quickly get a word from her. Zeba, we are honoring you as your president of AMWEC, and all the people that follow us, we are honoring you for your hard work. We've been getting a lot of prayers for the things that you're doing, putting your life at risk to serve Angelinos. So tell us where you are.
Assalamu alaikum, Anila, Mahomed Khan, Naila, and Owens. I just came back from LA, middle of LA and Orange County. I just stopped by in a park. I don't want to miss this opportunity. And I am honored to be here today. So, it's a wonderful feelings, it is a wonderful feelings I'm serving the little bit for the community and also wonderful experience.
I don't think you're going to give yourself the credit, so I'm going to do that. Zeba, from day one, has been telling us, what can we do? Can we go to this community and serve this community? And she has mobilized all of us at AMWEC to go out to places where we wouldn't have gone had she not taken that soldier-like, I'm going to do this mindset. So she has been going to all parts of LA, Orange County. She's been mailing masks for people. She's been dropping masks for people, seniors. She's been feeding people, seniors, young people, old people in every community. And every day, Zeba has been on the ground helping people. She is a fearless warrior, and she is not afraid to do what she's doing because she knows in her heart that she's doing it for the betterment of humanity, for saving lives. So Zeba, now that I've done that, tell us what you have, what's given you the most peace in your service in the past few months that you have been dedicated on the ground. What's given you the most peace?
When the lockdown is started, we are watching the TV, we cannot go to work, and we don't know what is the job situation. We got laid off from the job. So much, and also it was in March, it was very much cold weather. We cannot go outside. Almost 2 weeks, I was stuck in the home, just only going outside. Then you contacted me, I talked to you, what we can do for the thing. There is a one saying, Egyptian author said, Naguib Mahfouz, fear doesn't prevent death, it prevents life. Even though this pandemic we are going through, we have to survive. We have to serve. So something, and is a learning experience, this is also life. I'm enjoying my life within, my limit and as much as possible. Also, I'm also very much careful about the safety, trying to follow the CDC guidelines, and I know team member to picking very wisely where to go. So this is a wonderful feeling. I'm doing something, and now is Ramadan. We are doing for the Muslim community and other community as much as we can possible do it, A lot of people.
I want to emphasize that all of us here, what is beautiful about the work that we're all doing is it's not just limited to Muslim community. It is for everybody.
Everyone.
And that's what I want you to talk about a little bit, Zeba. As you go out, you actually look for people who may need help, because a lot of people they don't want to reach out and say, I need help, right? So
especially, you cannot, now this situation, you cannot tell who is need, because the culture we came from, Southeast Asia culture and other culture like Arab culture, they don't want to say to the people. Sometimes they don't feel comfortable, their own community, or they don't want to in need, they cannot say. So is not only me, my message to the others, at least call everyone, your neighbor, your friend, your acquaintance, your co-worker, or the people on the restaurant. If you have the contact, at least give a few lines. Sister, do you need anything? Brother, do you need anything? You don't know who needs what. Just communicate with you. Communicate with people.
And that's what you did, Zeba. You reached out to all the mosques, to the people that you knew, to the people you thought might be suffering, and you got them the resources and the help they needed. And so yes. What's your game plan for the next couple more weeks as we're in lockdown?
Next couple of weeks, also we have to have a lot of mass distribution because people are asking more and more. And also next thing we are going to focus on, again, food distribution. After the iftar thing over, we have to do groceries, whether it's a raw groceries or those kind of things people need. And also hand sanitizer. A lot of people ask hand sanitizer, but I think it's not available in the market, hand sanitizer. But I do give them some tips, what I know, like, we use a lot of herbal things to wash your hand and those things. I give them those kind of tips, like, sometimes You can use vinegar. Vinegar you can use as a hand sanitizer, which I use often. So these are the simple tips I give to them. Use this and that.
That's great. We are honored by your presence, all of you. Thank you. I'm now going to ask Brother MK. I'm going to turn to Brother MK. And Brother MK is joined by Brother Hakim Hayes and Minister Ben Owens. Are we all there? All right.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. So I'll tell you a little bit about Brother MK. Brother MK lived in South Africa during the time of the apartheid, and he's been a peacemaker. I mean, I actually learned and get inspired by him for 30 years. He does a lot of conflict resolution, and he's been in the heart of it. He's also done and pioneered a lot of the interfaith work that we have been doing at AMWEC, and we've learned much from him. He's been on college campuses, brokering peace, teaching peace, and doing conflict mediation. And he also worked with Rabbi Lemel at USC. He's done a lot of work with gangs, conflict resolution, intervention, and he's also provided chaplain services to inmates in prison. Basically, Brother MK has dedicated his life to peace, conflict mediation, and bringing people together. And we're honored that he's here, and we thank him for his service. What intrigues me is I wish I could have traveled with Brother MK when he went to Israel with Martin Luther King Jr., his brother. Is that right, MK?
His son.
His son.
Martin Sr.
And I want you to talk about that in a little bit. And so after that trip, when you came back, you became the peace ambassador. And so I honor you. I thank you on behalf of AMWEC and all the American Muslims that follow us. You have set the tone. You have pioneered interfaith relations in the West Coast. And we have much to learn from your experience. So I'm going to ask you to start sharing. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll move on to your friend.
Well, thank you, Anila. First of all, we're honored that a woman organization is honoring men. You know, thank you.
Can I ask someone? It might be. Can you be on mute? Somebody might need to be on mute.
How you put this phone on mute?
Okay. If we can just go on mute so we can hear Brother MK. That's good. Thank you.
On mute. It's on me.
Okay. So anyway, it's a great honor that to be given the respect by the community. Thank you very much for AMWEC, what you're doing. I started really peacemaking when I was a student, as I would give sermons in the jails. In those days was Men's Central Jail not Men's Central, Terminal Island Prison in Long Beach. And as a result, there were a lot of converts to Islam and people from different neighborhoods, Blood, Crips, and all of a sudden you're in front of them giving them sermons. And as some of them are leaving, they ask, what should I do? And I would tell them, look, God, pulls you out of darkness. Now it's your time to go in the community and change your friends so that they can leave the life of darkness. And anybody knows that culture, as Minister Owens and Hakim, we've been to hundreds of funerals. After a while, it's sad, we get desensitized to going to funerals in the neighborhood and candlelight vigils, because especially the 80s and the 90s the violence was off the hook. Sheriff department would rather not go to watch because they get shot up. I mean, it was was tough times those days. So the people that you're going to hear, Hakim and Minister Owens, were pioneers in bringing the peace truce between the Bloods and the Crips in those days. And as a result, we're in 2020, the violence has reduced drastically because of the interventionist work. So that's how I got started. Obviously, Islam is peace. Islam is derived from salam. We say assalamu alaikum. God's name is as-salam, the most peaceful. We begin it every time we read the Quran, we begin in God's name of mercy and compassion. So the peace paradigm of what's happening in the world is a natural for Muslims. It has to come. It's embedded in our faith. And you'll hear from Minister Owens, God changed his life through the Bible. He was in the gang lifestyle, and then he found God in the Bible, and that changed his life, and he devoted his life to peacemaking. And then you'll hear Hakim, who found it through the Quran, and that changed his life. And we always say in the neighborhood, we left gang banging, but we don't do religious banging. So we always take a multi-faith approach to peacemaking. That's why it's really a great honor. I'm so happy and honored that you are honoring Minister Owens, because Minister Owens is our Christian brother. And just so everyone knows, the word Muslim really means one who gives his or her will to God's will. So Minister Owens has been given his will to God's will in his way. So I consider him my Muslim brother, So as far as nonviolence, right? In the community, there's a lot of chaos, even to this day. The groups that do advocacy, they should do their advocacy. Human rights, civil rights, okay. But they shouldn't cross into the zone of humanitarian work. That's a different zone. Mother Teresa is not Amnesty International, and same thing with peacemaking. When you do conflict resolution, you talking to your enemy. The human rights people want to harm the villain, whereas we're trying to change that villain into a person who can join a peace movement. So a lot of mistakes have been occurred and still is being occurred by organizations that they step out of their lane. Let the peacemakers do their work. Let the humanitarian people do their work. Don't expect them to do human rights. That's not their game, So for example, in the neighborhood, we would get money for the funerals. We would support the interventionists. We would combine our humanitarian efforts through food and bring in sometimes as simple as a basket of groceries to grandma who's raising a grandson that some little gangster don't want to admit that that's his son. So when you do the humanitarian work in the community, that's where you get the real respect in the community. That leads into your backdoor peacemaking. A grandmother can tell her grandson, don't retaliate. And Hakim and Minister Owens, they've been through all those processes, and they will elaborate. I don't want to be too lengthy, so I'll end here. When I traveled to Jerusalem, it was a conference on nonviolence, on basically how to put down the guns and how can we talk to one another rather than use violence as a means to end conflicts, to end oppression, right? So I was fortunate enough to be with Martin Sr., Dr. King's son, and also I was fortunate enough to be with Rabbi Ben Owens from Pennsylvania. Rabbi Owens was one of the few rabbis who Dr. King gave him the title as civil rights rabbi. And why did he get that title? Because he marched with Dr. King, and the temple he was with decided that, that was very dangerous, so he had to change his job. And I don't blame the temple because, KKK was hanging, bombing, burning down churches, temples. So it's not a judgment call on his board, but that's just the way it was. So Dr. King gave him a title, the civil rights rabbi. So, when you meet the history, these people walk in history. you know, and Jewish Americans played a great history in this country, you know, and when you're in that process of trying to advocate nonviolence, years ago, Hakim asked me a question, and he's like, Muhammad, how can some Muslims be doing the suicide bombing? You know, when we Muslims, because Hakim, you'll hear his story, when he became Muslim, his mother was killed in the drive-by, and the protocol is to retaliate. But he said no, he didn't retaliate. He left it to God, in God's hands. So he asked me, how can these brothers be doing these suicide bombings? And it's very clear in Islam. Prophet Muhammad didn't say, here's poison, and tell his companions, go to the wedding of the enemy, have them drink the poison and you drink it. You know, so people like Hakim for years would be saying, we tell the brothers, everybody, anybody, have ethics and disagreement, and we don't do retaliate and drive-bys, don't do blow-bys. You know, that's the Islam on the ground in the inner city. It's raw, and the multi-faith harmony, people can learn from Hakim and Minister Owens. So I don't want to be too lengthy. I want to leave it at that. Maybe we can go to Hakim or Minister Owens. Maybe Minister Owens, if you could start, tell us about you, how you got into intervention and how and what you're doing as far as your work as a peacemaker. Because you're a hero on this forum, bro.
Okay. Yes, you are. And I know that you have been doing what you're doing for the past 41 years, Minister Owen, and we salute you and your work and honor you today. But I would like you to share some of the lessons you've learned on the ground. Like Brother MK said, it's all about crossing that barrier and crossing the divide between race, religion. How do we do that? How do we instill that in the next generation so that our country improves?
Okay. Well, first of all, assalamu alaikum. I would like to say thank you for the honor, and thank you, MK, because I've known him for a very long time, and he's always been transparent, been genuine with the work that we do. And I never really get a sense of, you know, us having different faiths, whether me being a Christian or him a Muslim. He's my brother. And my lifestyle began at a very young age in joining a gang. It was an alternative, whether I wanted to play sports or be a musician, the gang was an alternative. And with the gang, there's no such thing as being a gang member and being non-violent. And so it was cultivated in my mind to be, you know, a violent person, to have disregard for the law or respect for other people. But as I began to, you know, go to jail, get incarcerated, read the Bible, change my faith, and practice that. It's one thing to believe in something, but to practice it is a little bit more difficult when you're amongst your peers who may not practice that. And so as we begin to change our lives with ourselves first and wanting the better for our people, you would come across people who had different religious beliefs or faiths, or maybe none at all. But I never allowed that to be an obstacle or challenge. My mission was for the love of the people, to help the people, and it didn't matter what, you know, what their faith was. And as we continue to do this, even during this pandemic, you know, it's just a protocol for us just to continue to help people, to love people, and to be a resource for the people that, you know, God has allowed us to be. And so again, I'm glad to be here. I'm in the South LA area. We do venture out to other parts of the country. I've even traveled to different places like Denmark and Guatemala, Ireland, because there's gangs everywhere. And having a level of influence, it helps when I can go and talk to different people in different places, different countries, different communities, and be embraced because of whatever, faith I may have or that they may have. So it's an honor. And thank you again, Brother MK. I love you, brother. Keep up the good work.
Love you too, bro.
Minister, I have a couple of questions for you. How do you work with, you have a gang reduction youth development organization. So tell us a little bit about that, and how do you work with young people? What do you do? How do you inspire them? I'm a teacher, so I'm constantly looking for ways. How do I get to my students? How do I inspire them? What is something you do with the youth that you think is an effective strategy?
So one of the things I do, I'm a supervisor for the Gang Reduction Youth Development, which is a program here in Los Angeles. It's through the mayor's office. It's a program that's designed that people who have lived that gang lifestyle to go back and offer resources to people who are actually living it or impacted by it. It's more easier for us to be able to reach the people who are there because we've been there and we understand their plight, their situation, their circumstances. There's a lot of people that are in gangs or that are involved with violence that don't want to be, but again, because of the level of embeddedness in their communities or something that they've been told throughout their lives, they're just a part of it. So part of our strategies is to get folks to go out there. We have outreach teams that go out there to see what the needs are, to see how we can help, primarily stop the violence, the first thing, and then see what those other essential needs are, whether it's food or housing, or it might even be a mental health situation. It might just be mentoring. We deal with a population in South LA where close to 75% of the youth we deal with come from single parent homes. A lot of these young men and women don't have fathers in the home. So we do a lot of mentoring in that regard, trying to we just do continuous check people to see what the needs are, and if we don't have them, where could we find those needs at, and just to kind of keep everyone on the same page.
I think you said the keyword, mentoring. I also find in the work that we do in Pakistan, in the vulnerable communities, that every young person needs a mentor outside of their parents. They need a mentor, somebody that they can speak to, somebody who can guide them. And
Yeah.
I think that's a very important keyword there, right there. We also have Brother Hakim. Is Brother Hakim there?
Okay.
Brother Hakim, tell us about your work. I believe you're on the ground in LA, and that is.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. How y'all doing? Greetings. Forgive me. I just walked out of my treatment. I'm on dialysis, so it's been a blessing. And I've been knowing Mahomed Khan for a minute now, and he's like a mentor. I've been knowing Ben Owens for some time now too. And how I got involved with the work was my mom's was killed in the drive-by. So it always been in my heart to bring peace to my community and to other communities, but I just didn't know how. And once I embraced the Islam and I started studying, about peace. So I see that a lot of things is wrong, in our communities and a lot of other communities. And I learned that a lot of other communities is suffering like my community is suffering. And just like around the world, a lot of people suffering like my community is suffering. The Middle East, Africa, all these different places, Mexico, there's different places, they suffering. And then I just figured that violence is really something that I had to neutralize while I'm alive. So my life was at risk, and so I just stepped up to the plate and since coronavirus been going on, we've been feeding families that's in need. We got an office on 76 in Central where we started having big meetings. It started like we wanted to stop the killings. I wanted to stop the killings because you got to stop the killings first before you can even start dialoguing and communicating. You got to first stop the killings. So once I was able to stop the killings with the help of my Uncle Doc, which was his community was rival enemies with my community for almost a 50-year war. Then we reached out to other communities that surrounds my community that we've been warring with all these communities almost 50, 40 years. We like in the middle of all these other gangs. So once it came to me, Allah gave me that, man, stop the killings first. So now the killings been, on the east side has been down. So now, we really looking for the resources and, to bring, networking with different entities to come and help us to keep the peace stable. So now we working on bringing black and brown together because black and brown, that's been a long war too, to the point where by us feeding their mothers and grandfathers, like Mahomed Khan said, the grandparents and the mothers is able to tell their kids and their nieces and nephews to stand down. These people was helping us eat. Yeah. So, that's one of the ways we bring that we bring the peace. And when my mom was killed, I wanted to retaliate, but at the time, I was practicing Islam because that's the street code. You don't let nobody just murder your people as a gangbanger. You gotta be tough. You gotta have a mask, like a fake look. You gotta have these tough looks. You ain't no smiling and hugging when you gangbanging. You gotta show hardness. So once I embraced the Islam, it softened my heart to the point where I couldn't retaliate, and I don't believe my mom's wanted me to retaliate neither. So, she didn't even want me to gangbang no more. She didn't even want me around hanging with the homies no more. She didn't even want me to wear the clothes no more. So I had to take that to heart and really practice what I learned, and that's what I'm doing today, practicing what I learned over the years.
I just want to add, look at how God works, and you should talk about this, Hakim. Hakim has an office. In that office, he was sentenced, how long ago, Hakim?
27 years to life in that place.
That place. Tell us about that place. What happened, and so they can get an understanding where you at.
Okay, well, you got different gangs coming from different areas, and we all rivals. And I was 12 years old, and the place gave me 27 in life, and now I got the keys. You have to come, to see, here the keys right here. So, man, it's a blessing to be walking through there, opening up doors and giving tours and having meetings and passing out food and passing out turkeys. And Mahomed Khan, we be feeding people in there. Mahomed Khan, it's so much. It's uplifting to me. It's like it's a blessing, man. Sometimes it make me cry to see that I'm able to do that God is using me. It ain't me, it's God that using me. And I would love to give all y'all a tour when you down here. So yeah, that's pretty much where it's a beauty in that place now. It used to be the house of hell. Now it's the house of heaven, as MK put it.
That particular Naila, and that particular place was a juvenile detention center where they would sentenced juveniles. And that very place now is a community center. So the very place where Hakim has an office, he was sentenced to life in prison as a kid. And now God brought him back into the same building. So now it's a house of peace, you know, God turned it from a house of hell to a house of life. And
SubhanAllah.
that just shows the power of God. And it, you know, and all faiths come through there. It's not just, it's a community center of peacemaking. And so that's the kind of work. And, you know, Hakim mentioned, Mr. Owens and Hakim put their life on the line because, you know, when you have rival neighborhoods sitting around the table, you know, anything can go foul. Or you can have sabotagers who want to sabotage peace in the community. Anything can go foul. So that's work that really, that's when you say jihad and peacemaking, that's the real struggle when you put your life line, not to take life, but to preserve life.
Absolutely. I think you're right. This is God's work. And this is what we can all be a part of. So if anyone wants to donate to all of these wonderful causes, please let us know. We will connect you. MK, tell us a little bit more about how you got involved in this. I mean, tell us a little bit about your background. And someone is also asking for all of you to share your if you have an immigration story, Naila and Zeba and MK, and just share that immigration story and let people know where exactly you're from. Because you know, and I know that we say, yes, we're from here, California, but people want to know originally, where's your ethnicity from? So we're getting a lot of questions. Where are you from? So share that a little bit, and then MK, tell us how did you?
So I think, you know, as I was given the sermons in the prison, and then also I was setting up Muslim student groups. By then I already helped set up Muslim youth groups in all the mosques in the area, including the ones in the inner city. So I was just networked everywhere. And so when I met Bo Taylor, who I was his advisor for 17 years, Bo Taylor was organizing gang leaders. And then we would set up these strategy meetings. I would meet with Bo and strategy meetings to get all the stakeholders, have a weekly or bi-weekly meeting with stakeholders in the different neighborhoods. For example, the guy who owns a store, the leader of the church or the mosque, the grandmother who's rooted in the community, you know, all the different stakeholders, and that the strategies evolved where Bo just raised a generation of gang interventionists, and a lot of organizations spun off from Bo. And so the history of me getting involved was just a natural step from giving the services in the jail and then meeting people on the street and understanding that the violence, someone has to do something about the violence. It just was out of control. Me personally, I was born in South Africa. I came when I was 9 years old, grew up in Sacramento, and that was my first experience with people in the hood trying to rob me, you know, when I was 9 years old. And I got to understand the mindset of how vulnerable people are, because when I was growing up, you know, we had guns by the age of 11, you know, in my neighborhood. And most all those kids are innocent. It's just you're evolving in an environment where there's single parents, or you're raising yourself as a parent. You are your own parent. So it's like being raised in the jungle, and no one is telling you over there is quicksand, over there lions and tigers, and in the form of people, you know. So as a kid, you got to learn, and as a kid, you learn that your friends are your group, and then you may get territorial, and it may get violent, you know. So I understood the evolution growing up, and God blessed me to step out of that mindset. So it's easy for me to reach back because I understand that mindset. So that's the evolution. But my roots are Pakistan. My grandparents migrated from Pakistan in the 1900s to South Africa. One of my grandfathers went back and he built infrastructure and water infrastructure in the village he come from, which is the KPK area. And so that's why, you know, maybe one of the projects we can do with AMWEC later on, Naila, doesn't have to be now, it could be between now and 3 years, is take Hakim and Minister Owens to Pakistan and let them see how they change their life, and violence is not a pathway for anything.
But just a side note, Brother Ben and Brother Hakim, we do a lot of work in Pakistan as well with my CalPAC, and this community that we're serving, it is gang-ridden. There are drugs there, and there are little kids who are, you know, taken by these people, and they're so hungry, they have no money, and it reminds me of the same thing that we see here in LA. So it would be great for me and MK to take you there and show you how the lessons we learned working with law enforcement in LA, we put it to practice in a small gang-ridden community in Pakistan. And we would love to do that. So there's so many things that we can learn and you know, best practices, practice them elsewhere to make change. Okay, and so I'm going to go to Naila. Naila, what is your immigration story? Yes, you're on.
So, actually, my parents came from India and they got settled in Karachi. So I was born and brought up there, and then in 95 came to USA, but before that I studied in St. Joseph's College, and the schooling was from PCHS. So in 1995, myself and my sister, we came to Virginia, DC area, just to visit in August 1995. So we liked the area quite much, and I thought that I should study. So I got enrolled in hotel management. So during that time, I got sick with the illness that I told you about. At that time, we were on visitor visa, but then I got converted the visa into the international student visa. And we were studying in the college, but then during that time, I started to get the chemotherapy and blood transfusion, and I had I was in many times I was in the ER, but still I continued my studies, and then after 7-8 years, I got the green card, and then we thought that we should settle here in USA because I couldn't go back because of the chemo that I was getting. So I think I'm very blessed to be part of this country, and also that I represent Pakistan.
So you and I went to the same Catholic school, St. Joseph, yes. And Brother Owens. A lot of us have been through Catholic schools, and my family and I, we used to celebrate the birth of Jesus in Pakistan, and I could sing all the hymns. So, you know, when Christmas comes, I know all of these because those were our nuns who taught us all of those. Yes. And that is why growing up, because I was exposed to a lot of other religions, I am so close to other religions and I understand them. So I think it's so important for us to learn from each other about our beliefs, and that is what brings us together. So I'm thankful to all the nuns in Pakistan who taught us at St. Joseph's and all the other Catholic schools that are there. So Zeba, off to you. Tell us a little bit about your background, your immigration story. I'm just going to, yes.
Yes, I was born and raised in independent Bangladesh, but my ancestors, they migrated from Afghanistan, Pakistan, British India to, I think, 17th century in Bangladesh for religious reason to spread the Islam. That is my background, but actually mixed. But I grew up in a household of traditional Bengali and Muslim household. I grew up, and then I migrated to United States 1997, and I started career in farming industry, agriculture industry. I was in that field 14 years with my ex-husband. Then I also did consulting USDA and bring the farm to the school program, and USDA in mostly in LA, CLA. So I was consultant there to teach kids or parents 5-a-day program, nutrition values, what is a farm look like. Then I started my career again in a fashion industry. I'm a fashion stylist and also event specialist. And now doing all this, work with AMWEC and community.
Well, it all goes hand in hand. Everything is, we can do all of this together. We can multitask. We're women. Brother Ben Owens, what can you tell us? What lessons can you have you learned during this COVID era? I want you to concentrate on the past couple of months. What lessons have you learned that you hadn't learned from your work before? What are some new lessons that you've learned about life?
From the COVID era?
Yes. Something new. Oh, I didn't know this. After doing all this great work, I still didn't know this.
Yeah, so one thing that it has taught me as far as being more homebody with being at home, being more in proximity of people that you love, having a more personal relationship. I know we're in a digital age where socializing isn't always, personal contact, whether it's a holiday or something like that where folks get together. So it's brought a level of intimacy for me, to get to know people in a more intimate way or personal way, because I actually can talk to them now as opposed to, not meeting with them at all. But I see the desire for the people to really seek for clarity. I think in these uncertain times, we're uncertain when is the quarantine going to end, when are folks going to go back to work, what if this, what if that. I think that coupled with some already pre-existing anxieties can put us in a place, to where, people are uncertain. We've noted in Los Angeles County, not necessarily the same amount of violence, but violence still occurs. But also we've seen an increase in suicides. Again, since the pandemic, more than we have in recent times. So there's a lot of work that we have to do to engage people, both to see where they're at mentally and see how we can help sustain them in those capacities.
Absolutely. Thank you for those words of wisdom. MK?
Ben Owens, and I just had a question. Is there a hotline that you guys have for, teens who can possibly call in and, maybe get some advice? That we have a suicide hotline, but is there a specific hotline that you guys offer that they call in and, get some information about a situation that they're in and that they're trying to get out of?
Well, probably for the best directory will be 211. And from there, it would navigate you to the the service provider that you may need, because we deal with various different youth population related, substance abuse, gender specific. So it's more accurate to direct them to the person who could, or the agency that would give those services.
So 211.
So 211 was.
Okay, so that's like a general number that anyone can call, and then they will specifically direct them to the appropriate number.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you in the Los Angeles area?
I'm in Irvine with Anila.
Okay.
Rahim is our social media director. He's our intern, and he is a Chapman graduate, and hopefully he will go on and do great things as he started his life with COVID, being a warrior on the front lines. Naila, any parting thoughts? What would you like people to do to help you?
Okay, I would like people to first of all pray for us so that we can get more strength. And we always need prayers, and also if they can donate to us so that we can not only buy food, But people also need to buy their medications. They might have to pay their bills because not everybody got the stimulus check. And food still can be given, or they can get food, but then there are other things that also is needed. So I would, I would like to request people to donate to us.
Thank you. And we're going to share your ExpressCare website so people can donate. It is Ramadan and we give charity. And my Jewish friends always give sadaqah, which is the same as sadaqah that we have. And so we're going to ask everyone to give as much as they can to all of the wonderful causes. MK and Brother Owens, do you think you could do a combined prayer for us?
Yeah, and before that, I'd like to thank AMWEC. And thank you, ladies, for really honoring men. That's unique. And I'd like to also thank Zibanisa for coming out and feeding those people last week. That food not only went to the mosque, also went to their neighbors who were not Muslim. Some elderly who were not Muslim, they took because they just needed the food, and it was much appreciated. And I've been requesting people to buy 99-cent prepaid cards, like $50, and we've been passing those out in different neighborhoods. Hakim has been passing it out, and that's been a lifesaver too. So if people can send Anila some 99-cent prepaid card, we will distribute it to the right people. So Minister Owens, if you can do a prayer, and then I will end with the prayer so we can end with the spiritual blessings of the Almighty.
Okay.
So 1 minute. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, AMWEC, and giving me this opportunity to do some little good work. And also I thank Al Modina, the partner with us, and also Little Dhaka, and the brothers Ashraf, Ratan, Kamal, brother Aga Mazid, and Harbi, who helped me with all the packing and boxing, heavy stuff. Thank you all. And thank you, AMWEC. Thank you, Vanilla, and everyone.
Thank you to all our heroes, but let's go back to our prayer. And then, Zeba, you're right. We will thank our partners and put a note on AMWEC.
Okay. Thank you again, everyone. Let us pray. Eternal Creator, we just want to say thank you for life. We want to say thank you for today. We want to say thank you for the ability to connect the dots, to be in the circle of love with other human beings. And Lord, we ask that you would just continue to protect us, our families, our friends, our loved ones, our homes, everything that you have given us. We pray that you would keep it and protect it for us. We ask and pray all things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم أعني على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. Oh God, we seek refuge with you from Satan who's cursed. In your name, you are the most compassionate, the most merciful. God, help us remember you, worship you, and say thanks to you in the noblest of ways. Oh God, we ask you to bless Minister Owens and protect him in his work. And he's been saving lives and changing lives, and bless and protect Hakim. They've been saving lives and protecting lives, and bless Anila, Zibunisa, Naila, and Rahim, and the whole AMWEC team and their supporters, because empowering women is only the future of change. As we all know, the wife of Prophet Muhammad, Khadija, signed his paycheck. So we are thankful, God, Allah. We're thankful that you've given us women in our community who take the initiative to make change, and we thank you for allowing them to honor us as heroes. Ameen. Accept our prayer, accept our fast, and send us blessings so we are your tools, God. Ameen.
Ameen.
Ameen. Ameen. Thank y'all.
With that, I thank all of you.
All right. How you doing, Mom?
And Brother Hakim, Brother Ben Owens, Brother Mahomed Khan, Sister Naila, Sister Zebunisa, and Brother Rahim. Thank you all. And we will be sure to post all the links to your websites and all the good work that you're doing. And thank you for taking the time to be here and let people know that we are in this world together and we're all God's creatures. With that, I say thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.